Hello and welcome back to the NorthForm Podcast, episode 11. We are about 11% of the way through the Katana mindset, Japanese techniques for beautiful living. At our core, humans are wired to seek stability, the predictability of routines, the comfort of familiar environments, and the reassurance of secure relationships all contribute to a sense of safety. From an evolutionary perspective, this craving for stability makes perfect sense. For our ancestors, a stable environment meant survival, a predictable food source, shelter from predators, and a cohesive social group. It increased the chances of staying alive. Yet, in the world constantly changing, the hardwired preference for stability can become a double-edged sword. While it protects us from chaos, it can also tether us to stagnation, preventing growth and adaptation in the face of new challenges. The dangers include, number one, the hedonic treadmill. Behavioral scientists describe the hedonic treadmill as the tendency to adapt quickly to stable conditions, whether good or bad. For example, getting a promotion might make you happy initially, but over time, the new role becomes your new normal. Similar, a predictable routine can feel satisfying at first, but eventually becomes monotonous. This adaptation means that stability, while comforting, rarely leads to lasting fulfillment. Without new challenges or changes, our sense of satisfaction diminishes. Number two is fear of the unknown. Our craving for stability often stems from fear of the unknown. Behavioral studies have shown that humans are risk-averse by nature, preferring predictable discomfort over unpredictable possibilities. This is why people stay in unfulfilling jobs, relationships, or environments. They perceive the unknown as riskier than the dissatisfaction they currently endure. But this aversion to change comes at a cost. By avoiding uncertainty, we miss opportunities for growth, creativity, and resilience. Balancing stability and growth. To thrive, humans need both stability and growth. The key lies in striking a balance, maintaining a stable foundation while embracing change as a catalyst for personal and professional development. The growth zone. Psychologists often refer to the growth zone as the space just outside your comfort zone. While stepping too far into the unknown can trigger anxiety, taking incremental steps outside your comfort zone fosters growth without overwhelming your sense of stability. For example, learning a new skill, meeting new people, or taking on a challenging project can stimulate growth while keeping you anchored to a familiar aspect of your life. The role of resilience. Resilience is the psychological ability to adapt to change and bounce back from adversity. Building resilience allows you to navigate the tension between stability and growth. Techniques like mindfulness, self-reflection, and cultivating supportive relationships can help you develop this adaptability. Next is to embrace Kaizen. So far for balance and stability, we need to be in the growth zone, just outside our comfort zone. We need to be resilient, adaptable, using mindfulness and self-reflection and supportive relationships as techniques. And embrace Kaizen, which is continuous incremental improvement, a practical way to balance stability and growth. Rather than seeking drastic changes that destabilize your life, Kaizen encourages small and consistent steps toward improvement. Over time, these small changes accumulate, leading to significant transformation without overwhelming your sense of stability. Here's the real-life application. Consider two professionals, Alex and Maya, who both crave stability but respond to it differently. Alex's approach is to work the same job for 10 years, performing tasks competently but avoiding taking on new challenges or pursuing promotions. While he appreciates the predictability of his role, he often feels bored and unmotivated. His stability, Alex, has turned into stagnation, leaving him disengaged and dissatisfied. Maya also values stability, but seeks growth within her comfort zone. She regularly attends professional development workshops, volunteers for new projects, and reflects on her long-term career goals. By balancing stability with growth, Maya maintains a sense of security while continuing to evolve. The difference lies in their willingness to embrace change. While Alex clings to stability as an end goal, Maya reviews it as a foundation for growth. The katana mindset is stability as a forge, not a prison. In the katana mindset, stability is not the end of the journey, it's a starting point. Like the forge where a katana begins its transformation, stability provides the foundation for growth, but the real strength comes from the fire and folding that follow. By understanding our natural craving for stability, we appreciate its role in providing security and balance. But to live authentically and meaningfully, we must also challenge ourselves to step beyond it. Embracing the discomfort of change is a necessary part of the transformation process. True strength lies not in clinging to the illusion of stability, but in cultivating the resilience to grow and adapt with a dynamic and ever-changing world. How habits are formed. Picture an image of the brain. A study by Lally et al. Into 2010 into how habits are formed, modeling habit behavior in the real world, offers this profound insight into the mechanics of behavior foundation. It peels back the layers of human behavior, revealing the gap between surface level changes and deeper enduring transformation. And reflecting on the research, I could see parallels with the lessons I learned during my time in the recovery process and forging the process of the katana. Lally and her colleagues tracked participants over a 12-week period as they attempted to integrate a new habit into their daily lives, whether it was drinking water with lunch or running for 15 minutes every morning. The researchers found that forming a habit wasn't about sheer willpower or sudden inspiration. Instead, it was a gradual process that required consistent repetition in stable conditions. On average, it took participants 66 days for their new behaviors to feel automatic. Though the time varied, depending on the complexity of the habit and the individual differences, the discovery emphasized meaningful change doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow burn, not a flash of light. But the study also revealed a deeper truth. Habits anchored in external motivators or superficial goals often failed to last. The participants, when they did, rely solely on external rewards like wanting to lose weight or impress someone. Their efforts fizzled out once the initial motivation waned. But contrastingly, those who tied their habits to intrinsic values or long-term aspirations were far more successful in making lasting changes. The distinction is critical here. Surface-level stability, the kind that comes from chasing quick fixes or temporary goals, can be easily shaken. True, deep-rooted stability, however, is built on internal alignment and resilience. During my recovery, I often thought about this fragility. At first, I tried to figure out how to motivate myself with superficial benchmarks, standing without assistance, for example, walking unassisted, eventually cycling again. While these goals were important, they didn't hold up during moments of discouragement. It was only when I reframed my approach, focusing on what kind of person I wanted to become, stronger, more patient, more disciplined. What I found was the strength to persevere. This shift was what I needed to do. It was who I want to be, mirroring what Lally's study uncovered. Behavior tied to identity is far more resilient than behavior tied to outcomes. Another striking finding from Lally's research was how lapses and moments of failure was to maintain the habit. It didn't necessarily derail these momentary failures and lapses. It didn't derail the long-term process. Participants who viewed setbacks as part of the process were able to recover and stay on course. On the other hand, those who saw failures as proof of their inability to change often abandoned their efforts entirely. And this reinforced an essential truth about transformation. Perfection isn't the goal. Persistence is. Just as a swordsmith doesn't discard a blade because of a single imperfection, we have to learn to embrace our flaws as a part of the journey towards self-mastery. Reflecting on this katana metaphor, it becomes clear why superficial approaches to change often fail. A blade that's hastily forged or poorly tempered will crack under pressure, just as habits built on weak foundations crumble in the face of adversity. True transformation, whether it's a habit or a sword, requires depth. It demands heat and pressure, repetition and refinement. The steel must be folded over and over, aligning its imperfections into a cohesive whole. just as we must repeatedly engage with our habits until they become part of who we are. Lally's study also highlighted the importance of context in habit formation. Stable environments made it easier for participants to build habits, while chaotic or unpredictable settings often hindered their efforts. This resonated deeply with me as I thought about the structured, intentional environment of my hospital stay. The predictable routines, the calm demeanor of the staff, and the supportive atmosphere all played a role in helping me develop new ways of thinking and being. It was a reminder that creating conditions for stability, both external and internal, is a cornerstone of lasting change. As I think back to the times when I tried to make surface-level changes in my life, whether it was attempting to adopt healthier routines or manage stress, it's clear why so many of those efforts failed. They lacked depth, patience, and alignment with my core values. It's easy to be drawn to quick fixes, but as Lally's research shows, the real work lies in the small, consistent actions repeated over time. This is how habits are forged, not with sudden bursts of effort, but with steady, deliberate practice. Ultimately, the lessons from Lally's study echo the wisdom I encountered in Japan. Meaningful transformation requires patience, perseverance, and willingness to go beyond the surface. It's not just about what we do, it's about who we become in that process. Like the katana, we are shaped through fire and repetition, emerging stronger and more aligned with our true selves. The study serves as both a reminder and a challenge. If we want changes to last, we must go deeper, embracing the process as much as the outcome. Social relationships and mortality risk, a meta-analytic review. The study of Holt, Lundstad et al., Social Relationships and Mortality Risk, a meta-analytic review, offers an extraordinary lens through which we can view the impact of our relationships on human life. Analyzing data from 148 studies involving over 300,000 participants, the authors made a striking discovery. Individuals with strong social connections have a 50% increased likelihood of living longer than those who are socially isolated. This finding is profound not just in its statistical significance, but in what it reveals about the core of our humanity, our need for authentic relationships. I first encountered this study after my accident during long introspective hours in the hospital. It made me reflect deeply on the relationships in my own life and whether I had prioritized authenticity or simply maintained appearances. It's tempting to present ourselves as, quote, fine or, quote, strong, wearing masks that protect us from vulnerability. But as the study shows, the quality of our relationships, not the quantity or surface-level harmony, plays the biggest role in our well-being. The researchers emphasize that authentic connections, where trust, understanding, and emotional support are present, are the relationships that matter most. These bonds provide a buffer against the physical and emotional stresses of life. When we invest in maintaining appearances, whether in friendships, family, or work relationships, we lose the opportunity to build the kind of meaningful connections that truly sustain us. It's like building a house of cards. It may look impressive from the outside, but it lacks the strength to withstand even the slightest disruption. During my recovery, I couldn't help but think about how many of my past relationships revolved around maintaining an image. I had focused on being the dependable friend, the high achiever, or the person who always seemed in control. But in the process, I often neglected to share my own struggles or allow others to truly see me. The accident stripped me of that facade. I couldn't hide anymore my vulnerability. And to my surprise, the people who truly cared showed up, not out of obligation, but out of love. That experience taught me that letting people see you as you are, not as you think they want you to be, is the foundation of authentic connection. Holt Lundstad and her team also highlighted how social isolation increases the risk of early mortality to levels comparable with smoking or obesity. It's not just loneliness that's dangerous, it's the absence of genuine, fulfilling relationships. Superficialities may fill our social calendar. They don't nourish our souls. The human need for connection isn't a luxury, it's a fundamental, as much as the air we breathe. And yet, we often sacrifice it for the sake of appearances, whether it's to fit into social expectations or to protect ourselves from rejection. I remember a nurse in the hospital who embodied this kind of authenticity. This study champions. Okay, got it. The connection there was a little. Her kindness was quiet but unwavering. She didn't try to cheer me up with platitudes or to mask my pain with hollow reassurances. Instead, she listened. She really listened, and offered small, thoughtful gestures that made me feel seen. In these moments, I realized that authenticity is not about grand gestures. It's about presence, honesty, and the willingness to engage with someone as they are. It's these connections, not polished interactions, that strengthen us and ultimately prolong our lives. The study also underscored the importance of reciprocity in relationships. Authentic bonds are two-way streets, requiring both giving and receiving. This was a hard lesson for me to learn. Before my accident, I was more comfortable being the one who gave, offering help, advice, or support, than being the one who needed it. But in my most vulnerable moments, I realized that allowing others to help me didn't make me weak. It strengthened our connection. It reminded me of the Japanese concept of omoyari, or compassionate empathy, which emphasizes mutual care and understanding as the foundation of meaningful relationships. One of the most striking implications of the study is that the longevity benefits of authentic relationships extend beyond the individual. Strong social bonds ripple outward, creating healthier families, communities, and workplaces. When we prioritize authenticity, we not only enhance our well-being, but also contribute to a culture of genuine connection. This is the antidote to the hollow pursuit of appearances, a reminder that depth, not perfection, is what truly sustains us. As I think back to the study's findings, they feel less like research and more like a mirror, reflecting the truths I've experienced firsthand. Relationships built on appearances are brittle. They can't withstand the pressure of life's challenges. But authentic connections, like a well-forged katana, are strong and enduring. They don't just enrich our lives, they extend them, offering both a longer and deeper experience of what it means to be human. In the end, Holt-Lundstad's study is more than a statistic. It's a call to action. It challenges us to move beyond the surface, to let go of our masks, and to invest in the kind of relationships that truly matter. It's not easy. It requires vulnerability, effort, and courage. But the rewards are immeasurable. After all, what's the point of living longer if we aren't living authentically? And as you embark on your own journey, remember that true vitality comes not from fleeting appearances, but from the deep well of authentic Genki. All right, so we will pause there. We are now, 14% of the way through the Katana Mindset. Huge thanks and appreciation go out to Kindle, Amazon. Absolutely wonderful suggestion. It's a beautiful time we live in with all of the algorithms that suggest the best thing for us and perhaps for the whole world. So, we're wrapping up May in Robert Greene's fantastic book, The Daily Laws. So I'm going to read to you May 29th and May 30th, and then, May 30th and May 31st. And then we're on into June, which will be The Divine Craft, Mastering the Art of Indirection and Manipulation. So, May 30 and 31st to close us out for the month of May, which we are now in June. Congratulations, everybody. We are now in the 6th month of 2025. We're beginning the midway point. Everyone wants more power. There's the famous line from Lord Acton that says, absolute power corrupts absolutely. People quote it a lot, but Malcolm X said the opposite is also true, namely, that having power may corrupt, but having absolutely no power also corrupts absolutely. I'm maintaining the 48 laws of power, Robert Greene says, that the feeling of having no power over people and events is generally unbearable to us. When we feel helpless, we feel miserable. No one wants less power. Everyone wants more. When in doubt, assume that people are doing what they're doing and saying what they're saying because they want more power, not less. And this is a quote directly from Robert Greene, Between the Lines with Barry Kilbrick from 2015. May 31st, the last one for the month of May. starting with a quote from Lord Chesterfield. Be convinced that there are no persons so insignificant and inconsiderable, but may, some time or another, have it in their power to be of use to you, which they certainly will not, if you have once shown them contempt. The ability to measure people is the most important skill of all in gathering and conserving power. Without it, you are blind. Not only will you offend the wrong people, you will choose the wrong types to work on, and will think you are flattering people when you are actually insulting them. Before embarking on any move, take the measure of your mark or potential opponent. Otherwise, you will waste time and make mistakes. Study people's weaknesses, the chinks in their armor, the areas of both pride and insecurity. Know their ins and outs before you even decide whether or not to deal with them. And 2 final words of caution. First, in judging and measuring your opponent, never rely on your instincts. You will make the greatest mistake of all if you rely on such inexact indicators. Nothing can substitute for gathering concrete knowledge. Study and spy on your opponent for however long it takes. This will pay off in the long run. Second, never trust appearances. Anyone with a serpent's heart can use a show of kindness to cloak it. A person who is blustery on the outside is often really a coward. Never trust the version that people give of themselves. It is utterly unreliable. And the daily law is, what possible good can come from ignorance about other people? Learn to tell the lines from the lambs, or you pay the price. From the 48 Laws of Power, Law 19. Who are you dealing with? Do not offend the wrong person. All right, so with that utter contrast in ways of looking at the world and subject matter, we will sign out from this episode 11 of the NorthForm Podcast. Welcome to the month of June.